It's August the 10th. This is Meet the Movie Press. On this week's show, Oscar changes. We need to talk about Venom. They're here. Poltergeist comes to Halloween Horror Nights and the box office. Trust me, it gets a little bit better than that, but not much. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Meet the Movie Press.
And welcome to Meet the Movie Press. My name is Simon Thompson. I always forget to say where you can find me at the top of the show. You can find me at the top of the show and also here at Showbiz Simon on Twitter and Instagram. And there's a Facebook page. This is Simon Thompson. Who am I? I'm a journalist. I'm a producer. I sweep the floors. I occasionally bathe. And with me on the show this week, as kind of usual now, does this make us a gang?
Yeah.
Are we like MS-13?
In a half.
Yeah, I think we are. We need to get tats, guys.
Yeah.
We need to get tats. Demetri, welcome again. Who are you and where can we find you?
My name is Demetri Panos. Hey, movie fans, and hello, everybody.
Hello.
You can find me at D.
Sorry, hello.
Hello.
I was late there.
Hello. You can
Hello,
find me,
Governor.
Hello, Governor.
Talk about that in a second.
You can find me on Twitter, so please support me at DMovies1701. And I'm also on the Popcorn Talk Network's easy for me to say, Anatomy of a Movie, which we do every Friday. And basically, we talk movies. We break a movie down. This week, we will be talking about Christopher Robin and Pooh.
There you
So,
go.
yeah, can't wait. Looking forward to that one.
The film Christopher Robin
Yes.
and Winnie the Pooh?
Because
Okay,
he's
just
in-
clarifying
yes.
on that.
No, yeah.
And Scott.
He was going to talk about the dump he had this morning.
This is a
And-
PG-13 rated show, people.
But it's okay.
No,
It's
we'll get to that.
friendly.
Hello, Scott.
Yeah.
Welcome back. Who are you? Where can we find you?
Good.
The magic of coffee.
Alrighty, so I am on Twitter and Instagram at the other Scott M. You can find all my written reviews and my interviews at WeLiveEntertainment.com. I do this wonderful show with these two wonderful gentlemen. I also do the show Black Tomatoes on Black Hollywood Live at 5 p.m. every Sunday. This list just gets longer and longer every week. And then I do, of course, the brand new show on the Popcorn Talk Network, which is the LAOFCS weekly show,
Yeah.
which is going to be happening today at 11 o'clock.
Sweet.
That's great.
There you
I
go.
think that's an amazing Scrabble score.
Yeah.
That is no.
It's a lot.
Just
It's
get
a
an
lot.
X. Get an X in there, and it's all good. We're going to slightly turn the show on its head this week. We're going to start with talking about the movies and the box office because sometimes we don't get enough time to give the work of our craftsmen of the industry.
Sure.
Sometimes, which is good. Enough of a space on the show. And can I just say, occasionally we do swear. This is your warning. We do swear occasionally on this show, and if that offends you, we apologise in advance. But it might happen sometimes. The words slip out of our mouths.
Little bit.
It's mostly my fault, to be honest with you. But just to give you a warning.
But it sounds so much better from you with the English accent.
People say that.
Yeah.
People say
I mean, I
that.
could do more in my Boston accent. It comes out wicked.
That sounds
fucking-
mildly threatening.
Yeah, maybe.
I like the fact that
You like the socks?
I referred
do.
to
The socks?
I referred to
winning.
Zeno is now referring to us as the MS-13 of movie news. Now, just let me make this really clear. We're really not. And I got offered the chance to arm wrestle Jennifer Garner on camera next week for her new movie
Peppermint?
Yeah, and I turned it down because I have the upper body strength of a small child. So gangs, not really my thing. I really not my thing. So let's talk about the movies coming out this week. We're going to get to the big news in a second, and of course the perennial Idris Elba Bond rumor has come around again because there's a Y in the day. But let's talk about this week's big releases. Okay, let's kick off with the movie that we have all seen. It's called The Meg. It stars my brother Jason Statham. You may have seen on
photo?
Twitter
Yes,
this week. We got reunited, which was beautiful.
It was nice.
Yeah. Although he came, I did an interview with him for The Mechanic too, about 2 years ago, and there was a certain moment that we shared where I gave him a suggested catchphrase, which was "wankers away," and so he walked towards me on the carpet, pointed, and went, "Wankers away." Nobody else had a reference for that. They just thought he was calling me a wanker.
That's awesome.
Very nice.
That's what I've worked 25 years in this industry for.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I get it on the street
Good
as well.
that you remember.
So let's talk about The Meg. It's a movie about a big shark. Well, it's really a megalodon.
A megalodon.
You've probably seen the trailers. Everyone's been really excited about this. There's been a lot of really cool marketing, I have to say, around this movie. That is something that Warner have nailed. It did previews last night of 4 million. It's looking at a weekend of 23 million, which is lean. Very lean for a movie of this size, no pun intended, and with this cast, which I think is actually an eclectic but interesting cast. We've all seen this. Let's start with your guys' opinions first of all. I know you kind of expressed your opinion previously, so let's start with you, Demetri. You saw it last night.
Yeah.
With an audience.
And I did see it with an audience, and I have to say, thanks to you, because you really set the bar so low.
Yeah.
I could only go high.
Personally and professionally.
Yeah. I didn't say that.
No, I said that. Carry on.
Yes.
And I watched the movie, and I was like, it's not that bad. It's not that good, but it's not that bad. For bad shark movies, I always look at things like Jaws: The Revenge. There was a shark movie that took place in the bayou that was really bad. Yes, I've read the book. I read the book years ago, and the book is cheesy fun. I didn't expect this movie to be anything other than what the book was. I guess to criticize, I wish it was more like the book, and there should have been far more carnage. They should have gone R on this movie. That would have been far more fun, bloody, disgusting, maybe build a little more suspense. All in all, I didn't think it was an awful time at the movies. It was summer B movie fun, just like the book. It's a good beach read or a watch at the theater.
Scott.
I completely disagree.
I know.
I completely
I know.
disagree. I think
I could feel that in the water.
I just
It's warm run standing.
Okay. So here's my thing, right?
Yeah.
Like if we looked, I did this for my review. If you look at the history of shark movies,
Yeah.
besides Finding Nemo, besides Jaws and Shark Tale, no other shark-related movie has grossed over $100 million. Every other one that they put out that's been a major release, like The Shallows, 47 Meters Down, et cetera, Deep Blue Sea,
All good shark movies.
all good shark movies, fun, and they're all right in their own right. They're all very different, but the budget was in check. I think what really hurt this movie for me was that it looked, it felt, and the acting reminded me of an Asylum movie. A direct to DVD on-demand movie.
Wow.
And
See,
I watched the special effects in this movie. I'm still wondering where the money went. Who got that $150 million? Which one of these people who have barely made $5-10 million in a movie before? Where did that money go? Because I don't get it with the special effects.
I'm just seeing reports that Warner Brothers have called 911 to get treatment for that savage burn.
Yeah.
Savage burn.
Asylum. See, I don't know. I didn't see it that way. Again, yes, I've seen better movies. And listen, if you're a Jaws fan, and I've seen every single one of those movies, you can make a drinking game out of all the references because they reference
Yeah,
all
they
the
do.
movies.
Why are people calling this? It's like Jaws on steroids.
I don't get
Why
it.
are people
Not.
saying it's like Jaws?
Hey, I'll tell
and
you why.
drug-
Because they're
because
desperate
they
to get on the
reference.
poster.
Yes.
That's why.
Yes.
That's why.
Yeah.
And I know because I gave a punny quote for The Shallows, which I genuinely really enjoyed,
Yes,
and it's still
me
one
too,
of
me
my
too.
favourite shark movies of
Yeah,
all time.
yeah.
And it did end up on the poster. It was a review
Yeah.
that I did for IGN.
Yeah.
But there are people for this, and Demetri and I were having a chat before the show, and I think some people have been so looking forward to the show and so hungry, pardon the pun, for this film to actually get into movie theatres. And summer, I think, has been very, very patchy this year as far as blockbuster goes. They're kind of throwing their enthusiasm behind something perhaps more than they might do. Now, I didn't hate the movie. I was quite bored with it at times.
It's so boring.
I thought the chemistry between... I think Jason Statham's great.
Yeah.
He's a lot better than some of the other stuff he's done. I mean, he's not like sort of Fast and Furious classic, and Crank Jason Statham, but he's still pretty good. I thought the chemistry between him and Lai Bing, it was just terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible.
It's just so unbelievable.
I mean, it was awful.
Yeah.
Absolutely awful. I mean, there was none. I thought some of the other casts were kind of great. I mean, there were certain tropes in there that I think got wasted. There were storylines that just didn't go anywhere. I mean, this is not a spoiler, but there's a scene at the beginning of the movie where, and it's part of the main setup for the movie, so this is not a spoiler, where there's an incident and Statham, misperforms. His chance to come back is to save these guys from this new subsea base. He goes down to rescue them. One of the characters gives a note to another one of the characters to give his wife. We never know what happens to that note.
I know.
We have hacking experts on board this sea base, which never appear to do really any hacking.
No.
I mean, Ruby Rose completely wasted.
Oh, she's completely
wasted.
How about Paige Kennedy, the most annoying character of the year? All he does is scream. He reminds me of Adam Devine.
It's just the whole thing. The whole thing was just like missed opportunity for me.
Yeah.
Now, when
I know what happened to the note, but I don't want to spoil it. We know what happens to the note. Yeah, I mean, the note gets
passed through the shark's bum.
Well, eventually,
Okay.
yeah.
You kind of guess so. But there are so many problems with this movie, and it just. I mean, I spoke to John and I spoke to Jason about this at the premiere, and I was like, this just feels to me like you shot a lot more and you didn't put it in. And a lot of people have kind of discussed this in their interviews with them both recently. And yeah, Jason was saying, this is not the bloody script. We discussed this this morning.
Right.
This is not the bloody script. And I don't mean Michael Caine. That's not the bloody script. It wasn't the bloody script that Jason Statham read.
Yeah.
And John shot a load of other stuff that was way more gory, that was really more standout set pieces, classic shark movie stuff, that simply didn't get in. At some point along the line, the decision was made to make this a PG-13 movie, and John was like, I can't make anything but PG-13 movies.
Yeah.
People keep asking me to do this. He wanted to make this blood and guts and gore and all this kind of thing, so somewhere in Warner Brothers,
From what I understand,
this is archived.
Well, from what I understand,
it's with the Justice League.
No.
Don't mention the Sneider cut. The Sneider cut.
There's no such thing. That's an urban legend. But no, from what I understand in an article that I read about that footage, because it was said, does this mean we'll get an R-rated version on Blu-ray and streaming? And he says no, because it was shot, but we never finished them, and they're not going to pour the money.
Which is a crying shame. And I think we're looking at a box office of 23 million. I think if they had, they would have gone balls to the wall and gone R on this. Well, it would have been a more fun movie. I could recommend it more to spend your money on. But also, they would have had a franchise.
Yeah,
they would have had a franchise, and with this, they won't.
There are 6 books in the series. It was never meant to be a series. Steve Alton, who wrote Meg, it's not called The Meg, just Meg. I wish they had followed the book a little more. Yeah. Not that I'm one of those book purists who says that a movie has to be identical. Purists. But they could have taken some of his plot points better. Yeah. And it's like, well, why not? You have a good blueprint. You changed so much around. Yeah. It would have been more fun.
There's lots of things they throw in that they just never go through. Let's have a look at what people are saying in the chat. Sky Patterson saying hello to everybody. Zeno Hour saying hello. Hey. Sky Patterson saying heard the Meg is poo. Now that's Christopher Robin is poo. Yeah. This is the one with the shark in it. Scott Boswell saying Run DMC is rap film DMP here. I have to say, I feel like an OG gangster right now. Yes. You can tell by that. Zeno was saying the good news is that Simon did all of the stunts because they're likening me to. So Zephyr was asking, is Ruby Rose in it? Yeah, Ruby Rose is in it, but horribly wasted. I think she's great.
Yeah.
But I think she's horribly wasted in this movie. I mean, she looks amazing, but I think her presence on screen, even in like that terrible Pitch Perfect 3, everything she's in there, literally, which is not doing a huge amount, she still nails every scene. Sky's saying The Meg, a dumb summer popcorn blockbuster film, a last-ditch effort for Warner Brothers to try and break the bank at the box office. Not that surprising, indeed. Can't believe they gave The Meg a $150 million budget. Yikes. Something else I can't believe, which kind of sort of irked me yesterday, was I noticed on Rotten Tomatoes, and I'm not having a go at Rotten Tomatoes, I just think there's something wrong with the mechanic behind the scenes there, because a lot of reviews for this that were like 2 out of 5, 2.5 out of 5, were being given fresh
I know
marks, and even though it's below 50% currently, Rotten Tomatoes, still there are things that are being recorded as fresh, which are very much not fresh. They're negative movies. There are some positives within them, but it's very much a 2 out of 5 score, and that's printed there. And yeah, it's just, for me, that's kind of thrown it off a little bit. So I think the score is slightly inaccurate on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah,
but I think it would, if it was corrected and sort of tilted a little bit, it would actually come in as far lower. I think it was 49% last night, which I think is kind of fair, because there will be people who like The Meg.
Yeah.
I didn't hate it. I didn't
hate it. I just didn't think it was very good.
It better than you did. But again, I went in after talking to you about it. I went in going, oh my god. Number one, I was disappointed. I was deflated after the conversation, because I was looking forward to it. In major part because I had so much fun reading the books, and when you said it was awful, I was like, oh, that sucks. But I do know that the movie has been held up for, at the very least, 2 years.
A long time.
Oh, yeah.
So, so that always smells that there's blood in the water. It's not a good thing. So when I went in and I saw it, I'm watching like the first 10 minutes or whatever, I'm like, this isn't that bad. I'm like, it's okay.
Again, when you look at, so Warner Brothers did this whole event for this movie. This is back at, I think it was Rampage. Yeah. So they did this, I went to, like, they were so pumped about this movie. They took us all to see the trailer. We got to see the trailer in 4DX. So, like, my hype, like, was so, like, up there. And, like, I do love shark movies. This movie just didn't go far enough.
No. It didn't go far enough.
It feels like everything about it
didn't
just
feel confident.
No, it doesn't feel confident.
At all.
It doesn't, like, there's not enough action. There's not enough shark. Yeah. There's not enough campiness to it.
Not enough humor.
There's not enough humor. Yeah. It feels like the tone is so off. Yeah. Like, sometimes it's like it wants to be really serious.
Some of the dialogue is just awful.
It's really
awful dialogue.
It's really B movie.
But I don't think it's even B movie dialogue.
No, it's not.
No, I don't think it's good.
It wasn't bad enough to be good. Yeah. I read this somebody said it's not bad enough to be good, and it's not good enough to be bad. And that's just kind of where it is. Yeah. But I was watching it last night. The audience I saw it with, they were like, they were into this movie. But then again, I think the theater that I go to often in Baldwin Hills, it's the audiences love the talk back and the interact.
Do you know what I think?
And it was fun watching it with them.
We're going to move on from this in a second, because we've got a lot of other stuff to talk about as well. Film that Jamie's saying Jason Statham has never opened a movie on his own. I mean, he opens them, but they're never huge.
No.
I mean, August is always a good. It's a very lucky time for him to open his movies. He's opened a lot of his movies in August, and they tend to. I mean, even The Mechanic 2, which is genuinely a really bad movie, that actually did quite well. Don't understand why Hollywood keeps trying to make him happen. He's very popular.
I think he is popular.
He is popular.
And he's a supporting guy, though.
Well, I don't know.
I liked him as a leading man in this. I did like him as a leading man in this. But the film just isn't. It is just the rest of it is just not good enough.
I liked him as a leading man in this. I was at Lionsgate where we released a handful of his pictures. Yeah, he's a very personable guy.
Oh yeah,
and Crank, I think, is a fun movie. He's good as a support. He's great as part of the Expendables.
Yeah.
He's great in Spy.
He was really great in.
Spy is like the best thing he's done.
And I personally think that he can continue. It is a shame that this will not, because the books had a through line, so you understood how there was a sequel and how this character was going on. I feel bad for him that there won't be any more, because I love shark movies, especially when they're done really well. But he's going to be with The Rock. That catapults his career.
Oh, yeah.
People do generally like Jason Statham.
Yeah, they do. And do you know what? I mean, I think we'll see more movies with him leading. And I think, I'd like to see him do some more action comedy stuff. He really excels with that. There are moments in many of the movies where he absolutely shines. I mean, the Crank movies are bananas.
They are.
But they're just great fun. I mean, but ultimately, 23 million is not great. I mean, I think the budget was something like 150 million, which is insane. I think first weekend it'll do okay, no better than okay, disappointing level of okay. And I think after that, you're going to see some very swift declines. If you're opening on 23, maybe 25 million, and you see a 50% decline, people are going to be clearing that out of movie theaters quicker than you can get popcorn at the end of a kid's showing.
Right.
Seriously, people are going to be dusting that shit under the carpet.
Agreed.
Okay, let's move on from the Meg. I mean, I'd recommend it. I wouldn't recommend it.
No.
I would wait. It's a shame. It's a movie that needs to be seen on the big screen, but I genuinely can't suggest that you spend $15 on it. Yeah.
Streaming for me.
Okay.
I would say I'll be the one. Go see it.
You're being paid by Warner Brothers. Paid by Warner Brothers. Paid by. No, I'm kidding.
I wish. But no, I genuinely.
Warner Brothers
Okay.
probably the enemy today.
We need to wrap this up. We've done 20 minutes on the Meg. I mean, Jesus Christ, that's insane. Okay, Dog Days came out on Wednesday. It took 635,000, looking at a weekend of 4 million. I haven't seen this. Life is too short. You have seen this.
I really enjoyed it. I love little dog movies. I'm sorry. Ken Marino directed this. Great little cast. It's not a movie that's going to change the world.
What?
If you like dogs,
This was our last hope.
I know. If you like dogs, if you like sweet romantic comedies, I think it's going to work. Just don't go in expecting anything that's going to redefine the genre, because it's not going to do
dog
that.
genre.
Yeah, the dog genre or the romantic comedy. Feels like a great throwback to the 80s and 90s dog comedies.
Or you could watch dog comedies from the 80s and 90s.
Yep, you
Like
could do
Turner
that
and
too.
Hooch, or Canine, or Turner and Hooch, maybe Canine.
Benji.
Beethoven.
Beethoven.
I never liked Beethoven.
Never. No.
Charles
Shifty
Grodin.
eyes.
Yeah, I like that
Shifty
one.
See, I wasn't a Turner and Hooch fan.
Yeah. But I do recommend. It's not going to make a lot of money, this movie, but I do recommend
Evidently.
it. Yeah.
Cujo is a great.
That's why I love that one.
Web marketing.
Yeah.
Web marketing.
Yeah. Black KK Klansman, the new one from
Must see.
Spike Lee.
This in the top 5 right now of the year. Hands down, go see this. Very important. It's almost scary how much it ties to what's going on right now. Spike Lee's best joint in 10 to 20 years.
In fact, you say that, and in fact, I interviewed Spike and the cast this week, and Spike was saying, I've actually not been to a screening. I had a screening offer this week, but I've deliberately not gone to see it because I want to see it with my wife this weekend. But it's also, this weekend is the first anniversary of Charlottesville.
Yes.
And the Unite the Right
Yes.
march
Yes.
there. And I asked Spike about that because he includes footage from Charlottesville
He
in the
does.
movie.
He does.
To sort of, show that even in the 1970s, this stuff is still going on. And I said to him, people might think that is a cynical marketing ploy, bringing it out on the anniversary and including that footage. And he was like, he made this movie in the fall, sort of late summer, fall. And he's like, this obviously happened in the August, and he instantly knew. He didn't tell the cast, he didn't tell anybody that he was going to draw the parallels, so nobody on set really knew, but everybody was aware of what had happened, so that is included in the movie to show that these things are happening. One thing I spoke to him about was who does he want to see the movie, and 2 people he wants to see the movie are David Duke, the former Grand Wizard of the KKK. He wants him to see it because David was very worried about how he's going to come off in the movie. But some very interesting takes, including from the original Ron Stallworth. There's a piece that I did actually that's on Reuters.com. And also, Spike said that he wants Donald Trump to see it, which is quite interesting. He wouldn't refer to him by name, though. He used another name.
That's fine.
But it's interesting. I think this is going to interest a lot of people. And it seems not to be but it's not a political piece. It's a statement of it's a recreation of things that happened.
I had a conversation last week with some colleagues here, and they didn't realize that it was based on a true story.
Most of the people who were in the movie,
Yeah.
until Spike told them, they didn't think this was when he said there's a book and this is something that happened, they didn't know.
Yeah.
It's a lost part of history.
Well,
It's fascinating.
There's a reason for that. It's talked about in the movie. But at the same time, like when you think about this, it's one of those things where you're like, there's no way this happened. It seems so
It sounds like an
unrealistic.
Adam Sandler movie.
It does.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah.
It really does.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking forward to it.
I mean, black cinema this year, and I hate that phrase, but I mean, the level of black presence in movies this year has been phenomenal. Every single one that has come out, even I was a little lukewarm on Blind Spotting, but between this one, Sorry to Bother You, Black Panther, Blind Spotting, I mean, this is going to be the year where Oscars are finally not so white. This Oscar should be very multi-diverse.
Would you say
week.
this would be under the popular movie category?
Oh, well, that's for a little later.
We're going to get to that in just a second.
Yeah.
Just a second.
Just long.
But I mean, I've been a big fan of Spike's work, and obviously a lot of the stuff I had to really sort of do some research in because being a white guy from Britain, the struggles of African Americans in America,
it's real.
It's real, but it was something that I learned some history stuff, but I learned a lot of it through the films of people like Spike Lee. Of his oeuvre, of all his movies, or what you've seen of his movies, sort of politically and political message and political statement, where do you think sort of this race? Because obviously Malcolm X was a very political movie. That was about a very polarizing political figure, especially important to the African American community. But then obviously you have things like Do the Right Thing, which are not political movies, but do make very clear statements about Black America and African Americans in America, especially at certain times. Even, She's Gotta Have It.
Yes.
They all make sort of socio-political statements. They're not overtly political, but socio-political. Kind of, where does this fit in? Because there's obviously...
In the middle.
Yeah, because stylistically, it looks like there's a lighter edge, but it's not a comedy.
The movie, without spoiling it, the movie ends in such a way that you kind of go from laughing and having a good time and being like, like the right person won, to this huge shift in tone where you're just you leave the theater angry because you're like, I can't believe this shit is still going on. That's how I walked out of this movie twice. I saw it twice because I went for a refresher last night because I wanted to see if the movie holds up, and I think this is a movie that nothing the second time you watch it, it's just as strong, if not stronger.
Yeah.
Talking about Spike Lee, people are talking about various movies that he's done. Let's not forget School Days. He got Game Brooklyn.
Yeah.
That's from Sauvage Ascension. Going to sneeze.
Bless you.
Thank you so much. He's done some amazing movies. I think this potentially could be his, even though it's not going to bust any blocks, I think it could be his most commercially successful movie in quite some time.
The theater last night was packed.
And I think people are going to go and see the Spike Lee joint that perhaps would not usually go and see a Spike Lee movie because they consider it too black.
It's
or too political.
It's going to be big at Baldwin Hills.
Yeah.
I think it'll be really interesting.
That's where
I'm looking forward to seeing the audience. I really am.
Same here.
Okay, so also out this weekend is Slender Man. It's 1 million previews, 9.9 million.
See, you want to talk about something that's unfair. That Dog Day should have made more than Slender Man. I get it, but my God, Slender Man, no previews for anyone.
That was a movie that everybody was kind of really psyched about, and it's slipping out like a fart in an elevator.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's weird.
Is that you?
It's like, hang on.
It smells in here.
Sony, is that you?
Yeah.
Sony? Okay, cool. So that's it for Movie Corner. Movie Corner. Okay, so let's move on. Let's very, very quickly touch on the rumor that's come out again in the last 12, 24 hours since I sent you guys the rundown for the show. Idris Elba apparently now favourite again to be James Bond. Apparently that's what they're looking at.
Let's just do it, right?
Let's just do it so we can stop having a rumour. I mean, I think he'd be great as James Bond.
Too.
But this comes around every couple of months. And the Broccolis, they're never going to comment on this until they announce who the Bond's going to be. Right. I would love to see him as Bond. I don't know if he will. I think he might be too old now.
He's getting there.
Idris is exceptionally busy. So I don't know if he'd want to do it.
Yeah.
He doesn't need it.
But at this point, correct me if I'm wrong, We still have one more from Daniel Craig.
Yep, we
right?
do. Yep.
So does does it make sense? I mean, I know it's a rumor, but if I were Daniel Craig, right, who's now become a producer, okay, I'm sure he wants to champion Idris Elba, but not while he's out there working, making a Bond movie, and then he's going to promote a Bond movie, and everybody's talking about the next Bond.
Unless, of course, James Bond dies halfway through this one and the next 007 takes over.
Oh, sure, yeah, that'll happen. Yeah, I mean, I'm just, how can you go? To me, it would be not wise to announce your next Bond when you're...
No. I honestly don't think we're going to get an announcement anytime soon. I mean, I'm not quite sure. I mean, I believe it's from a piece in Esquire, but this suddenly come out again. I just think this kind of comes around every couple of months and nobody confirms it and nobody denies it and there's all this stuff. I mean, production is starting soon on the new Bond, so that's imminent. And Daniel's doing it, I know that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, nothing's going to happen with this immediately. I think potentially when the other movie comes out, which is going to be end of next year, maybe then we're going to get some kind of announcement. I'm not quite sure why this is researched again. But just do it. I know there's still you can't have a black James Bond. But I'm like, we've got a black Moneypenny.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see the problem.
I think you would be fine. It's, as you said, he's not getting any younger.
Yeah.
So that means how many of these movies will he be able to do?
Yeah. We've had a black Felix Leiter.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's sure. I mean, I would love to see him in this role. I think he has the on-screen presence.
Yeah, 100%.
He has the charisma, the sexiness,
and I want to see him
do action.
And I want to see him given some material that actually is worthy of Idris. Sadly lacking.
Besides Molly's
Dark
Game,
Tower.
I feel like he hasn't been in anything really good.
He did it. I mean, he actually did. It's nothing like Bond, but he did a great comedy show with an actor friend of mine, Jimmy Akambola, for Sky this year, which is a comedy show set in the 80s. It's about Idris growing up in London in the 80s. Jimmy plays his cousin. It's genuinely really, really funny. It's about basically growing up black in London in the 80s, and Jimmy plays an immigrant. And it's kind of like when there weren't. I mean, there've always been black people in London, but it's kind of like when you were still seen as very much from outside. It's not. London's a lot more multicultural and stuff now. This is like 40 years ago. But it's fascinating and it's really, really funny. But Idris is still mostly in that he plays the straight role. Right. And it's a great script. It's really well done. And the saddest thing that is holding Idris back in Hollywood is the quality of the content.
Absolutely.
He needs to have better stuff, and I think Bond would give him the script, the storyline, the gravitas, the action. It ticks all those boxes for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed.
I mean, we've seen him in stuff like Luther. If you haven't seen Luther, the BBC show, his acting in that is phenomenal. Phenomenal. Yeah. I'd really like to see, I'd really like to see him be Bond, but I don't know if that's going to happen. Whether they want to go for someone younger, I don't know, or continue the white lineage, I don't know, but we'll see. But I think if it happens, I think it'd be a great idea.
And historically, though, too, when they announce the new Bond, it is the year that they're starting production.
Yeah.
Okay, so that means we're looking at the very least 3 years.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
At the very least, because we've got this Bond that we have to get out.
Yeah.
They're not going to talk about new Bond. They'll be talking to Daniel Craig, so is this your last Bond?
Yeah.
And blah, blah, blah. But
Always
it won't
do.
be
Always
until... It's just historically the way that it's been.
I agree.
So,
I agree.
For Idris, we're talking another 3 years.
Then nobody in the Bond movie is going to turn around and go, "So, James, Jesus Christ, you're black."
Jesus.
What? No, it's never going to be. His nationality, his race is never mentioned or referenced in any of the movies. So it's just like it would just flow. No one's going to comment on it. People talking about this in the chat. John Harrison, Craig could do it till he's 57. A la Cruise. He's no Tom Cruise. He's no Tom Cruise. Cruise is an enigma.
Yeah.
I mean, people just saying, Savage Ascension saying younger Bond needed. I mean, I think that would be the only thing. I think that is something that would hold Idris back more than his colour, is his age, because they would want to sign someone who could do 2 or 3 movies at least. And I don't know if that's something that would physically be something. I mean, Idris is fit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, he takes his fitness and stuff really seriously.
And women like him, too.
Women like him, men like him.
Listen, he would fit the tuxedo.
Yep.
magnificent.
I think he'd be really, really good. I mean, a lot of people saying basically, yes, Idris now. Idris is good, but too old from Harris. Yeah, I mean, I think this is. I mean, I say let's just do go for Idris. Let's do it. But I mean, that's not up to me, in case you didn't realise. Okay, let's move on. A lot of other big news to talk about this week. The Oscars adding a popular film category, tried to limit the telecast to 3 hours, making some other changes as well. A lot of pushback on this week. What do you? First of all, let's break this down into a couple of quick categories. Adding the popular film category. What do you think about that? And then I'll give my thoughts afterwards. Scott.
I don't know why. I mean, it is a attempt at a ratings boost. Mm-hmm. Is that all it seems to be? But the movie-going public, the people who watch the Oscars, there's two types of people who watch the Oscars. There's the people who are like, oh, I love the dresses. Oh, I love the fashion. Mm-hmm. And then there's the people like us who just love freaking movies, and we know if a movie's good or not. And we don't need someone to tell us what a popular film is because we already know. It's not like the Oscars are made for people who are casual moviegoers who, see 4 to 5 movies a year. That's not what it's about. So having this is, I feel like it's just an insult to anyone, not only as a filmmaker, but also as a viewer of film or a lover of cinema. Because you know what's good and what's not. You know what's popular and what's not. I don't know. It was such a stupid move, but it's definitely for the ratings because you remember the last couple of years, down we go. Yep. And really, they just need to cut the shenanigans out of the show. They need to stop dragging everything out. Just tight. 2 hours. That's it. Run it through.
It's not going to happen in 2 hours.
It's never going to happen
in 2 hours.
It's never going to happen.
And I agree with you. I mean, something need be done. It is a ratings grab.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they're more concerned about, right? So here's the thing.
It's a business. It's the business of show business.
It is. It's like no business I know. But, so... A couple of things is that people tend to forget that there have been popular movies that have won.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Lord of the Rings get nominated. Titanic. It was an extremely popular movie. One of the highest grossing movies around.
Forrest
Gump.
Yeah.
Even Silence of the Lambs. Right. These are all big popular movies. But here's the deal.
Sure. I didn't even touch on this. Yeah.
Because they haven't really mapped it out what they're going to do. No. So you're going to do this. Number one, don't call it popular movie. You got to come up with another category, and then you got to take away. Because what really has pissed me off is you went from 5 slots and you doubled it to 10 slots for Best Picture.
Yep.
But you don't fucking fill all the goddamn slots. Right.
Sometimes there's 8. Sometimes there's 7. Sometimes there's 9.
Yeah, so then what's the point?
Right.
Okay. So does that mean now with a new category?
Yes.
Right. Does that mean we go back to 5 and 5? For the category, because there really would be no reason to have 10, and there shouldn't be 10 unless you're going to fill them all out. You could have commercial films in there. There's no reason why a commercial film can't be nominated, can't win if it's worthy of it. So I get it, but they just went around this press release all wrong.
And with the popular movie as well, I mean, what a concern of mine is the fact that, let's take Get Out as an example. Okay, so if we'd have had this last year, Get Out, very popular movie, very financially successful movie, deserved to be for the categories that it was in. Now, if you take that after, I would say, let's say best film, and you then shift that because it's successful into popular film, are you then depriving it of potential best film, best director, etc., or do you then have it in both categories, which is then unfair to some of the other ones? Because while one is a best picture and one is best popular picture, you're cannibalizing. I mean, it's there's a lot of things I don't think have been really thought out about that. And on the length of the show, why not? I mean, if they're going to start cutting out some of the technical awards and some of the fashion and stuff like that, costume and and editing and stuff, that they think people, I mean, really, those are for the industry. Those are awards to recognize the industry. And if don't give them lip service by going, hey, Brian's won this, Susan's won this, and shove them in, amongst car ads and Mountain Dew. Why don't you just say not have those on air at all? or have them on a online only thing, and then when you do the show, just have 2 hours. Then you have the ones that the average Joe wants to know: best actor, best director, best film, the songs from the movies, best song, blah 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 blah. All the one that say the top 5 or 10. And
sound mixing, like something like sound mixing, where like
well, I don't think
only
even.
us-
I mean, it's getting more so these days,
Yeah.
but not even. I mean, even just move some of those out
Right,
and
that's
have
what I'm
things
saying,
like
yeah.
stuntmen.
That's what I'm saying.
Bring in
Yes,
a stuntman category,
right.
Well,
which
there
will
should
actually
be.
align more with the line of the popular
how about-
movies
I mean,
and stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
Well,
just
and I agree about that. But
shorten it
here's
down
my
and make
thing,
it- make it
though,
like a-
regarding like editing. It was because as a young kid watching the Academy Awards, what I learned, like, because they'll do those montages, or they'll talk about what editing does. Same thing with sound mixing and sound editing. Like, they talk about what it is, and for anybody who likes, who has that casual thing, they'll go, oh, that's what that person does.
Yeah, but
or
also,
that's what-
but they will,
I mean,
but they will tune in for that if they want to. But your average Joe sitting at home, who's already, some are complaining it's too political or this and that. You just make it effectively a variety show with all the stuff for the people who are really interested in the technical side of things. I mean, personally, I would love to see more people interested in that side of the industry anyway. But
Yes.
that's not a reality right now. And just have that as like a webcast only or a separate show. But just do the popular stuff. You will sell more ads, which will mean that they will make more money. ABC will be very happy. But with the popular film, a lot of films that are very successful are not particularly good movies.
No, that's a good
the
point,
problem.
too.
Yes.
And when you start then awarding Oscars to mediocrity, it then
Trickles down.
It
Trickle
trickles
down.
down.
Well,
you know?
and I tweeted that out too. It's like, well, who's going to decide what a good popular movie
Right.
is? Like, what are they going to go by gross and then go from a Rotten
it
Tomatoes
makes no
aggregate?
sense. It makes no
Like,
sense.
That doesn't. What is a popular movie? Because to
Yeah.
your point, Get Out.
Paddington 2 is the most popular film of the year.
Yeah, but it did shit all box office.
Right.
Well, but how are they going to gauge that? That's why that title needs to be changed, because
Yeah.
it's an insult,
Yeah.
and it does make it seem as if it's a bought
Right.
People's Choice Award. How are they going to figure that out? Is it only because of movies like Black Panther? So does this mean like Marvel movies now are going to get their due?
Superhero movie campaigns.
This is a little bit different from when they made the animated category.
Yeah.
Now, again, I'm of the belief that there should be no reason, if an animated movie is very good, that it shouldn't be nominated for Best
Yeah.
Picture.
I agree.
I don't care.
Same
that
with
it's animated.
documentary.
And
Right.
with the whole thing of popular
Agreed.
movie, by the fact that obviously Disney, they'll have the predominant number of movies by the looks of it that are, if they're
Oh,
going by top
for
10 in
sure,
success.
for sure.
But also then they're going to own Fox.
Right.
Very soon. So that means that then you've got Disney and Fox, or whatever the Fox it's going to be called. And so then if they then have other movies, it's then unfair to other studios like Sony and Paramount. Obviously, it means Sony and Paramount make better movies. That you need to up your game and make more popular stuff. But again, that's not down to quality. To me, the whole thing is just there are so many factors that skew it.
Yeah.
That I just think actually will harm the Oscars more than they will actually. We've got 15 minutes left on the show.
agree.
And we have other stuff to talk about. But
There's a Jessie Moulton
Yeah.
who is just.
I do, yeah.
She's terrific, and she's always so interactive with people on Twitter. And when this news came out, she said something, and I think the thing that they have never added as a category, which I think is such a great thing to mention, is casting director. Like, they should have did a category for that. And in terms of this, I feel like they would have gotten less shit right now if they actually did something like a best blockbuster as opposed to best popular film. Because at least you can define what a blockbuster is. And there's like a lot of movies that qualify for that. And then that gives back to popular movies that people love, but at the same time you can pick something. But again, this type of year, it's like it's Black Panther. Like it's like it's like that or Infinity War. So it's like what else is going to? So
and then with that you get people going,
Impossible.
Mission Impossible.
Oh, it's Black
Ready Player
Panther.
One for
Oh,
me.
it's political. It just opens.
It's so much.
It could be hoisted on their own petard for that. This obviously, as we learn more about exactly what they're going to do, it's a story we're going to come back to again and again and again on the show. So we'll end it on there. Like I say, we've got less than 15 minutes left on the show. We still need to talk about Venom getting a PG-13 rating.
Do we though?
Because Sony's also hoping that the MCU characters are going to cross over in future films. Sony today announced a rather snappy title for what they're going to refer to as the MCU. I mean, I obviously not getting it, but I wanted to see an R-rated Venom. Again, if do it or don't do it, there is no try. It's like, I don't want to see another movie that just wants to go hard and then has to go, motherfunner.
Yeah.
I don't want that.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, the character's so violent. That's the greatness about the character. Didn't we learn from how much they ruined this character in Spider-Man 3?
Yeah. I
So
kinda
it's
like
like,
that.
I mean, that was all like the casting and everything was bad on that. But
I heard that.
know, but.
I kind of like that.
You kind of
Who said that? Who said that? That was outrageous. How can you say you quite like Venom? That's just, I think we've got some. I think we've got some leakage.
Topher Grace's brother.
I think we've got some
right
leakage.
Yeah.
That's age, though. To be honest with you.
It's called Alestra.
Yeah. This movie has problems written all over it, doesn't it? Everything
we
about
just
it.
talked about it with the Meg.
Ruben Fletcher hasn't made a good movie since Zombieland. Let's go back to that. I mean, there's no.
And what
it's just a
happened?
mess.
And like it would be like making Deadpool.
Yes, I know. PG-13. Right.
I thought it failed miserably when they did it with
Wolverine Origins or whatever the hell that
Wolverine
crap
Origins.
was.
You can't make a Die Hard movie like that fourth Die Hard movie. The rated R version is so much better. It's like, just stop. Like, if the character lends itself to R, just look what Deadpool
You could
did.
tone him down if you use him as a secondary character in the MCU, right? Like, you can cut away in those movies if you want to make them PG-13.
Do you know why I think this is? I think this is for international sales. I think that's what it is, because they want to get into some of the major markets where they're more sensitive about what's up on the screen. Here in the US, where if you have an R-rated movie, you can take kids in there if the kids want to see it. I've seen people bringing their kids into Deadpool and all sorts of things that are really don't suitable to kids that are barely in puberty. They're like still
China,
in
but
tiny school
China,
kids.
I don't know. I don't think China's afraid of an R rating.
But I mean, no. But I mean,
they're afraid of Winnie the Pooh.
But they don't want to
for
take
sure.
the risks. They don't want to take the risk because a lot of these movies, if they don't do particularly well domestically, international is becoming more and more important. A lot of the movies are doing 60 to 70% of their business overseas.
Everything this year, minus like 5 movies.
Yeah,
Have flopped here.
And I just think that I think there's an element of that. I think there's an element of the fact that they want to go, okay, we can go harder if it works. Let's try it out. But you know what? A lot of these movies you only get one go at. And I just think it's a massive mistake for Venom to be a PG-13. I would definitely have gone harder and just gone, let's just go for it. And I think a lot of the people who are into Venom and into this universe, we've seen with so many movies, like when Logan came out, when we've seen Deadpool, you can do a Marvel character.
Logan, they made all the other ones PG-13.
And then you can do,
and it still did wonders.
But which are the most acclaimed? Which are the most popular? I mean, those are the ones that are ones that people really hold high.
And where Logan worked too, there was an artfulness to it.
Yeah.
There was a creativity around it. It wasn't just R to be the sake of R.
Yeah.
I just don't understand. So that means to me that even as an R-rated movie, they ain't got the goods.
Guys, I'm gonna make it official on the show.
Right.
# we are not Venom. # we are not Venom.
Maybe I'm Venom. I mean, I still want to see it, but I'm a little bit worried.
I think you're Topher Grace.
Scott Boswell's saying Venom might be PG-13.
He was great, though, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, you were great.
Thank you. But Carnage has to be R. Yeah. There's no R in Carnage. No, there is R in Carnage.
Yeah.
It's the third letter.
Yeah.
Okay, again, we need to move on. Poltergeist coming to Universal Hollywood. Easy for me to say. Universal coming to... Poltergeist is coming to Universal Halloween Horror Nights here in LA and in Orlando as well, which is great.
Stranger Things too, right?
Yeah, that was the first one to be announced.
Yeah.
The ones they've announced for LA right now are Stranger Things, Trick or Treat, the first Purge, and this one, which is Poltergeist, more on the way. But yeah, I spoke to John Murdy, who's the creative director at Universal, about this 3 years ago, and he has been like Shining for many, many years. He was desperate to do it. Poltergeist. He and I have said, dude, you need to do Poltergeist. I'm trying to make it work. We're trying to make it work. Lots of hoops to jump through, but this year they are doing it, and I am absolutely delighted. Last year was a stellar year for Halloween Horror Nights. They really did phenomenally well with so many of the creative visions, and this year I think is going to be another absolute doozy.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Poltergeist, I'm genuinely excited about that. Let's also talk about something that I know we mentioned in the show previously, but we just need to go back to this story. James Gunn, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, lots of stories around this week. There was the story that they're not using his script. They are using his script. Marvel are trying to negotiate various things with Disney about maybe getting him rehired. There's James trying to sort out a negotiation about Severance from the Disney projects. There's so many stories out there this week.
Not to mention the fact that other studios are trying to hire
That was the
him.
next thing I was
Oh,
going
okay.
to say. He's being courted by other studios. I mean, I'm wondering if DC are going to pick him up and say, let's do a DC movie with James Gunn, because getting that balance between levity and action and sort of credibility for some of these movies. I mean, James Wan, I'm excited about Aquaman. I still have my concerns about it, but I think there's going to be something in there that's different. Do you think they could court him? Do you think other studios who are looking to kind of get into the super sphere should want to pull him in, or do something different?
See, the thing is with
Do
this,
something edgy.
The feedback on him is much different than a lot of other people. It's everyone's kind of like upset that he's gone. I don't feel like there's a lot of haters with this.
Yeah.
Like I don't feel like people are like, no, he shouldn't be brought back. Everyone's kind of like on board. I'm not going to say everyone, but for the most part, people are on board.
I agree.
Yeah.
So
Well, Dave Bautista this week said that
Oh, I heard
basically
that.
he's ready to walk,
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
which is a big
Yeah,
thing.
but
especially
we
for
talked
him because
about-
his career was built off this.
Yes.
But we talked about this, I think it was last week, that whoever they hire, it's lose-lose, right? So Bautista has come out and said, I will do what I am contracted to do. So that basically means he's going to show up.
Yeah.
And it just seems that that set would be just not a fun place to be. And if Bautista and everybody else there is phoning in, or not even phoning in, they're just, well, okay, let's go to the next.
You don't want that
And you
airing on
don't-
set. You
no.
don't want that.
Right.
And
That
I
is a
feel
poisonous
bad for
vibe.
whatever director says,
Yeah.
okay,
Oh,
I'll take
yeah,
the job.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
that person, he or she, could be so very capable of doing it. He's just going to be walking, he or she's going to be walking into a hostile.
But also, you
territory.
can. I mean,
and not of their doing.
but it's a slightly different situation. But it's similar when Edgar left Ant-Man and Peyton then moved in.
Oh yeah, remember the hate Ant-Man got?
Yeah, I mean, there was so much hate around that from the fan community. I mean, it turned out to be a great movie. Ant-Man's still my favorite Marvel movie, I think. But then the second one was Peyton, the one that he actually did all completely on his own. He worked with Paul. It was fantastic. It was a different piece. I still love Ant-Man, and I never had a problem with it, even though I'm a big fan of Edgar. I mean, to me, what I would do, I don't think this is going to happen, but what I would do, I would scrap Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I would do effectively what they did with Captain America and make the third Guardians movie that kind of thing, where it's multiple characters. It gets a little bit too close to Avengers, but then again, so did Captain America Civil War at times.
Oh, yeah.
Reimagine it, reversion it, and then build them back into the universe in some other way to go into that next phase, because it's going to be very, very difficult to make that third Guardians movie without James, because of the vibe, because of the things around it, and also those people who've been very much against James because of his comment, which are, inexcusable comments, but he's not a bad guy. They were jokes. It's not like he's a sex offender. It's very much a case of, if you want to clear that out, you want to completely rid it, do Guardians in a different way. Build it into another film. Build another film around it. Change the homogeny that's around it. Build something new. Change the direction.
I understand.
Don't try and do a third one in that
I
season.
get what you're saying. That goes so outside of the Marvel roadmap.
It does, but
And
they've done big changes before. Like Inhumans was going to be a big movie for them. That was on their phase for this one. That then became a TV show, which ultimately wasn't successful. But they're not afraid when they really need to go, let's do a U-turn. Let's completely go back to the drawing board on this.
Guardians has really seeped itself into the MCU.
Yeah.
Right? And to take such a drastic change means that's going to affect every other movie that they have, whether it's a Black Panther or whether it's Avengers. So it's going to be hard to do that unless they're using James Gunn's roadmap, because he worked so closely and he was in tune with this. Again, it's lose-lose at this point. If you hire him back, there's going to be those people saying, Roseanne, or this or that, and people,
but those people, like many people, and this is on both sides of the aisle. This is not purely attacking mine.
Sure.
There are so many people like, I'm never going to use this again. I'm never going to shop there again. I'm never going to blah 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 blah.
Right.
And they eventually come back and they buy their tickets and they shut up. They sit down. They enjoy the movie, and then they grumble. So I honestly think the amount of people who are saying, I will never watch, I was like, how many of them have watched Slither? How many of them have watched Super?
Yeah.
How many of them watched any of his previous movies? The work that he did for Troma? None.
No.
Until Guardians of the Galaxy is this. They didn't know who James Gunn was if he turned up in their house and sat down at their dinner table.
Yep.
And to be honest with you, most of them couldn't point him out in a lineup now.
Right.
If we said, like, show me James Gunn, they simply couldn't do it.
I agree.
It's more of the fury and the upset around it that's really fueled this.
And the surprise,
which you can understand because of the comments. However,
I get it. The first thing is that the first Guardians movie was a game changer. I feel like that was amazing.
Absolutely.
The second one was mediocre in my opinion. I didn't think it was that wowing. I thought it was like a lot more of the same. I feel like it just took everything from the first movie and put it at like times 100 or times 10. Like it's like, all right, Rocket's an asshole. Okay, we're gonna do that times 10. You love Groot? Here's more of Groot.
I'm Mary fucking Poppins, y'all.
Yeah, I mean that was
funny.
but he was like the highlight of the movie.
Yeah.
The
I thought it was
the Superman version of Chris Pratt and what's his name, Kurt Russell. What was that? There was just certain scenes in that movie where I was just kind of like, eh. The soundtrack was still great, not as great as the first one.
Yeah.
So I do feel like not a major step down, but definitely a step down from the first one.
two for me was not as good as the first one.
Right.
There are many people who disagree, and that's completely fine.
But I still enjoyed it.
Absolutely.
It wasn't as good as, agreed.
Couple of quick things. We've got to go. We've got 2 minutes left on the show. New Supergirl movie officially in the works. I still actually quite like the first one. With Helen Slater.
They just re-released.
They have.
On Blu-ray.
Yep.
I have it. It doesn't hold up.
I'm sure it
I
doesn't.
can tell you, but
I don't care.
but
I love Helen Slater.
Helen Slater better be in this Supergirl movie, and I
will.
want to
She'll
talk
have a
about this
cameo.
because I think it's a good idea to do a Supergirl
Yep.
movie. The other big news was Ruby Rose as Batwoman.
Yeah, on
Batgirl,
TV.
Batwoman. And again, I wish they should make the leap and. There's no reason why she can't be cinematic.
Absolutely. There's a lot of things we didn't get to cover off this week. The fact that Cowboy Ninja Viking got pulled off Universal's calendar 1 month
didn't
before
even know what
production.
that was.
And Johnny Depp's Biggie Smalls movie. Oh my God, I was so waiting for that, said no one.
You're right.
City of Lies got
The
pulled off the
real
release
reason
calendar.
why it was pulled. The real reason
No,
why it was
absolutely.
pulled.
So that was due to come
Yeah.
out next month,
Yeah.
and again that got pulled. So a lot
Yeah.
of people are being pulled off in Hollywood this week.
Yeah.
Okay, so we need to end the show. We need to stop. We
No
need to go.
Blumhouse
We've got things
Corner?
to do. No time. We'll do Blumhouse Corner. Okay,
Blumhouse
quickly.
Corner.
Blumhouse Corner. You have 5 seconds.
Blumhouse Corner, Halloween 40, the convention. Tickets went on sale this week. I was fortunate enough to get in the ground level. I got VIP tickets.
Very nice.
They're all sold out.
And you know what else?
You
The
don't-
movie's premiering at TIFF, and
Yes.
I'm singing at TIFF. There you go.
And-
We squeezed it in. We squeezed
Blumhouse
it in.
Corner.
Everybody loves to squeeze in Blumhouse Corner. Guys, thank you so much. And also premiering at TIFF, The Predator. We will talk about that more next week. Okay. Everybody stop talking one at a time. Dimitri, who are you? Where can we find you?
Movies 1701, Popcorn Talks, Anatomy of Movie, and Meet the Movie Press, the greatest show about movies and the press.
That's right. Absolutely. Tune in at 11 o'clock today for LAOFCS Weekly. Yeah, I'm trying to say that really quickly. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at @TheOtherScottM and at WeLiveEntertainment.com.
So don't forget to watch the ABC WTF LOL show later on, fronted by this guy. My name is Simon Thompson. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Showbiz Simon. There's also a Facebook page. This is Simon Thompson. You can see my work fundamentally everywhere. Thank you so much. This has been a rather exhausting Meet the Movie Press on August the 10th. Please tell your friends, share, like, do that. We want more people to watch this show, and we really appreciate it. And I said fuck a lot less this week, which is really... Oh, I messed it up. Anyway, have a good week, everybody. Goodbye!
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of its owners or principals.